2 years ago today, to this very hour, this image was taken of major Hurricane Harvey approaching Rockport, Texas at the time. And 2 years later, this is what it looks like right now. Got some more plants. Some trees that were quite small that I had in 2017 are really large now. Those singles you see up there weren't there beforehand. And right here, this part of a tree, part of the branches fell down. You can still see the mark it left on the tree. This tree used to be a lot more fuller than it is right now. It used to look like those trees back there to see behind it. But two branches came crashing down right about that area there that I'm pointing the camera at. And they're pretty large branches too. They weren't, 1 foot branches. They were maybe up to 6-8 feet long branches that fell down. You can actually see one dead one right there that's hanging on to a little kind of netting that was used at the time to deter birds from nesting into this tree. And you could of course still see the mark it left on this tree with the netting still there. And right over here, all these houses here, not one single apartment didn't go without losing at least a few shingles off of their roof. And down over here, when I get to it, right there is a piece of a gutter that was thrown from the top down there and rolled down there and stayed there for a few days. And right up there, you can see that door there. Part of that door came flying down over here and landed right next to that bus right there. Remarkable distance it was thrown about. Then over here, behind this tree, you can barely see it, but that window down there, the bottom part of that window is blown out, and the glass is all over the ground there. But of course it's repaired by now. And some of these doors, you can see that one right there to the left, still has some damage visible from the hurricane. And right there, part of the siding on that building flew off and was thrown about over by that tree there that you see. I remember coming back from evacuating and seeing a whole bunch of twigs like the ones you see right here, but a little bit bigger than that, and pieces of leaves, torn up leaves like these ones right here, all scattered around the place, all over, covering entire portions of the walkway at times. Over here you can see the storms currently going on right now that have moved to my south. Then there was this dumpster that had some of the walls on it facing downward like that on the ground. And just back there, there's a piece of a siding that was thrown down onto the ground there. There used to be a hot tub there, and it was thrown nearby it. There were some other significant tree branches that fell down around this area too, including some big ones over in this general region. If I'm remembering correctly here, there was a big one that was kind of covering the pathway there, and there were big ones all around, kind of over here, about as big as the ones that I was describing to you earlier from that other tree, and they're all scattered around here. And even there's some small branches onto the little bench there, and probably the one behind it. Then there was that chimney right there that you see that wasn't originally there before. It fell down right about there and stayed there for about a month or two before they cleaned up, and during that time it was surrounded by caution tape, of course, to not let anybody go over there and get hurt. But that used to not be like that. Before that, there was a chimney on there as well, but got ripped off during the hurricane. And you can see back there some of the parts of that door were ripped off too by the hurricane, and so were some back there too. Some of them were on the ground there, not on this ground, but on the porch ground there. So, and I remember coming back, seeing a whole bunch of debris scattered along back there. Coming back after spending, think about 3 days or so in Seguin, Texas. Coming back after about, I think it was a 5-hour drive or so, grueling 5-hour drive, passing by tons and tons of damage in Refugio and other areas surrounding it from the hurricane, which was just absolutely horrible. To put it bluntly, walking over here, still seeing a lot of trees, well, not trees, but leaves and all the other stuff. See, like those dead leaves, but all scattered across there on the ground with that tree, parts of that tree on the ground there, and other damage scattered all along. Then coming up the stairs here to see the damage on the deck, and there's still some pieces of stuff all over the stairs here. And of course I had most of my plants inside at the time, and there's still a whole bunch of debris on the deck like that, but like I said, just scattered all around there. And seeing that there wasn't too much damage over in my area, just some small twigs and leaves all strewn about on the deck here. Then I also remember looking at oven over here, which usually goes off, blinks off and on when the power goes out or it flickers, and it stayed on during the entire thing. The power stayed on in our area, thankfully. We got really lucky for that, and a lot of other people didn't get that lucky. And just a bit of a backdrop here. This is what I saw when I went over to Refugio on my way back to Corpus. Just look at that. An entire gas station gutted, albeit they tend to come apart easily during hurricanes, but man, just seeing that reminds me of that one gas station, Hurricane Charlie, that I saw online. Didn't think I would actually see something like this in real life, and it didn't really set into me how bad the storm was until I went through these ravaged areas to get back home. Just that damage, absolutely horrendous, and never hope to see anything like this again nearby me. Here's another image. You could see part of that building or structure there collapsed in on itself there. And then that entire foundation on the ground. Don't know what it was before, but it was absolutely destroyed. And even behind it, there's some destruction back there. Just looking at these images is kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's amazing just to see the true power of a Category 4 hurricane. Then here's a street of Refugio. You can see power thin down, or crossing thin down, trees all in shambles kind of, and de-leafed because of defoliated rather, because of the winds. but this image will forever be with me. But yeah, I evacuated from Harvey on the 24th, the day before it made landfall, on the 24th, in the later after lunchtime hours. I think it was around 3 or 4 p.m. Evacuated over there and didn't make it to my first evacuation area till I think it was about 7 p.m. or so, really. And by then it was getting dark, of course, like it is now. And I stayed there for about a day, and then it actually got stronger than I thought it would. I knew it would get strong, but I was hoping it wasn't happening, and it actually did get stronger. And I had to get out of there because they were forecasting about high-end Category 1, maybe even low-end Category 2 force winds in the area, so I had to get out of there. And I went over and got over to Seguin, Texas, which is near the Burnfills, Texas, and I stayed there, I think, for about 2 days or so while the storm was doing its damage over in Rockport and other places, and giving tons and tons of record-breaking flooding and rainfall to the Houston area. And just seeing satellite imagery of it, just absolutely incredible. Then I remember coming back, and I had to go through the damaged, ravaged areas that were hit by Harvey when it first made landfall. And I remember when I was on my way back, the roads were flooded. Well, the road, I shouldn't say the roads are flooded, but around the roads, rather, were flooded. There was water to my left, there was water to my right, and the only place that didn't flood was the road that we were driving on to go back to Corpus Christi and my hometown. Then I went through Refugio, and I saw damage like that, which really was heartbreaking. And since then, thankfully, Rockport has, I don't know about Refugio, but Rockport sure has come back, and they're now better than ever, to my knowledge. Of course, the scars still remain from Harvey, but definitely can see improvements of what's been going on over there since then, since the hurricane made landfall. And I went to Corpus, and saw that my house was fine, and I was happy about that. And flooding still was ongoing onto Houston at the time. And in Corpus, about half the city lost power, and we're a city of about, I think, 300,000 or 400,000 people in total. And half the city lost power, give or take. And a lot of people lost power for up to about 2 weeks, I think, in some cases. And unfortunately, they lost power. My area, thankfully, did not lose power at all. Didn't even flicker once. And we had power on. And we had a friend come in and stay at our place for about 2 days or so, 3 days or so, till they got power back on at their area. So, yeah. Going back out here, again, there's a whole bunch of debris scattered all over. There used to be a barbecue thing, now it's topped over, and also some more tree branches that were stuck over there. And there's glass on the ground there, so I wasn't able to walk across there because it wasn't safe. I didn't want to cut my feet. And there's a whole bunch of other branches down on the ground there. And it's 2 years later. Just look at the sunset. Sun's gonna be down in about an hour, hour and a half. Well, not an hour and a half, an hour or 2 hours. But just look at that. Harvey's impact will surely be known in Texas, and surely be known for us fellow Texans who went through it and had the unfortunate case of going through it. And my heart goes out to the people who were deeply affected by this, and people who may have lost loved ones in this hurricane. And hopefully we won't have another strong hurricane make landfall on our coast like Harvey anytime soon. And if it does, I hope we're way more prepared this time. Harvey was a record-breaking storm in terms of rainfall. and flooding for many areas. And before Harvey, the last strengthening Category 3 major plus hurricane to make landfall on the Central Texas coast would be Hurricane Elisa in 1983. Which landfall, I think, is a high-end Cat 3. So, just to put in perspective how long ago we had a storm of Harvey-type strength make landfall in the middle South Central Texas coast. Surely a storm that'll be in the record books and in people's minds that lived through it. Hope everybody has a great day now wherever you are. Stay safe, and see you in the next video.